When you have Make-A-Wish kids come in, what's the team's goals to make that day special?
I think really the guys' goal is to pay a little attention to them. I mean, these are children that are obviously fighting something terrible, living through something terrible, and as well the parents having to deal with something terrible. And so we want the players to try and do what they can. We try to do a few of them during OTAs and minicamp, and we try to do at least one during training camp. I also do it because I really do believe that it's good for our players to understand what it means to these fans, to these families, to these children, and I want them to experience what it means to give back. And so that's why we do what we do. And we got a tremendous group of people that handle that stuff for us. Riley Fields and his folks are terrific people in our community relations department.
Can it be kind of humbling when you have these, prime athletes just surrounded by each other, and then you have somebody that...
It's very humbling. It really is. And we recently did our Bowl of Palooza for the Ronald McDonald House, and we asked the family to come up and speak and say a few words, and the mother got up and she got very emotional in front of our players, and you could see a lot of them were touched by it, and it was just amazing to have that kind of support from our players at this event, and then for them to understand what it means. And so it's very humbling. I could see it in all their eyes and faces.
What do you kind of want to leave this portion of the off-season with heading into training camp?
Feeling good about growth. We'll get up and watch practice for the last time today and get an opportunity to see how those last few team periods look and see where some of these young guys developed and grew. See what happened as far as retention in terms of who's learning and who's not. And then see what was going on with the first group. See how they handled these things, some of these adjustments that were added by the new coordinators. And that's the thing we got to remember is we got 3 new coordinators in all 3 phases. And so to watch and see how everybody's adjusting to those things, that's probably the biggest thing I'll be looking for.
Ron, the most difficult adjustment to the way North does things?
Well, I think just in listening to the offensive players and then the offensive coaches is really the details. There's a little bit of different nuances that Norv has that would be a little different from Mike. And I think that's the biggest thing that they all have to understand. Where Mike may have wanted a guy to come out of a break and be a little bit flatter, Norv might want a guy to come out of a break and climb a little bit higher. So those are the types of things that they're going to have to understand. And then their coaching style obviously a little bit different. So I think guys have had to kind of get adjusted to that a little bit. But I think it's been really good in terms of guys adjusting and adapting.
Same question, but on defense with Eric Washington.
Well, I think the one thing for sure is both guys are very aggressive. Sean wasn't as aggressive as Steve turned out to be. I think Eric has the same mindset as Steve, which is kind of true to form because for whatever reason, defensive line coaches tend to be a little bit more aggressive. And I guess that's because they always want those big guys going forward. So you see a little bit of that. I think, again, Eric is even more so organized than Steve was, than Sean was. I mean, it's just amazing looking at the differences as far as that's concerned. Not that it's bad or anything like that, it's just that it's completely different, and these guys are getting used to that as well. And Eric's presence. He's bigger than me, and he walks in that room, and it really is a commanding presence.
What do you think was an important step in Darrell Williams' development?
Consistency. Practicing at a consistent level every day, and he's done a great job with that. When he first got here, it was understanding how to practice. Then as he became a starter, it was, continuing to practice hard. Now it's the consistency of how hard he practices. That's been probably the biggest thing. He's a smart player, understands the game, has good technique, but it's about coming to work every day and being consistent with that effort. He's done a great job with that.
Curtis Samuel had a jugs machine delivered to his place. He's going to work. He knows he has to continue that transition. What do you want to see him improve as far as hands-wise goes, as far as catching the ball?
Well, I think completing the catch before he runs. He's so quick and he wants to get going so quickly that a big part of when guys tend have problems with catching the ball is just catching it first, then going. I mean, he's got such great acceleration speed that if he turns his head before the catch is completed, sometimes he'll bobble and drop them. So, it's just getting comfortable with that ball coming at you, being patient enough to complete the catch, and then using your great athletic ability and acceleration to go.
Ron, understanding you guys made a big financial commitment in KK, but is there a feeling that maybe around the league he still isn't mentioned in that breath with like Aaron Donald?
No, and I think there is, and there's and it's kind of funny because you go back to the last few years and he's right there at the top with those guys. And the hard thing for us to understand too is to be left off that top 10 list of D lines. I mean, we had double-digit sack guys last year, and couple that with KK and some of the things that he can do. Being one of the best run stoppage teams as well. I mean, it's but that's football. That's the nature of people. People have an opinion and people have an idea, and we'll live with that.
Understanding you will still carry on the competition in earnest in Spartanburg, but would you anticipate Meany getting the first snaps at left guard?
Well, I anticipate him being at the top of the list to get that opportunity, yes. But we have a group of guys that all performed very well during OTAs and minicamp, and so all those guys will get a real serious look at it, and I'm excited to see exactly who's going to step up.
I know Taylor's among that group.
Yes.
Who else would you consider?
Well, Taylor, Meany, Jeremiah, until he had to miss a couple of days, but he's done very well. We have a couple of young guys that we're going to take a look at that have an opportunity to be part of that mix. I think again we have a good mix of guys that will come in and compete.
Will you kind of slot Larson more as?
No, I'm sorry, and I should have mentioned Tyler as well as Greg. I mean, we've got two guys that have center guard ability. That have done a great job for us, and those guys will be in the mix as well. I mean, if I were to say it right now, you're looking at 5 veteran players that will all compete for that opportunity. We'll start making moves on that within the first week, in terms of just saying, okay, we'll keep him slotted here, or we want to keep him and bring him over here a little bit more. So we'll see.
Are you guys able to work on the new kickoff rule very much?
Yeah, Chase did a little bit of it, just a little bit. He broached it with the players, talked about it. And again, it's an adjustment, but it's the intent is obviously player safety.
And then the helmet rule also. Until you guys get in pads, that's
but the truth of it, Jonathan, is that the helmet rule's always been there. There's just been a major emphasis being put on it to bring it being brought to light. I think they've defined it better. They've brought the definition even similar to ram, spear, or butt. They've given the referees a directive in terms of what to look for when they see those types of collisions that are imminent, and then really who to sit there and penalize. I think that's the more important thing, is that now I think we've given the referees a little bit more of a tool to use to help them decipher and make the best decision.
Coach Dontari has a couple touchdowns in his past. Do you think that's something that might be in his future here in Carolina?
All I know is I played with William Perry. All right, we'll leave it at that.